She made this one.
Yeah. Peace and life.
That's right.
From the very beginning, the first sound is the beat of the heart. The sound of life is only right. Let the beat is the start. We embark on a life of making memories and sounds. In our mind, what we find, we can make it with.
Yeah. Up in this thing. What it do? What up? I'm about to play a little something. Do I got a plan already? I don't think I do. Oh shit, hold up. I gotta upload this shit. What happened? Something happened, man. MP3 is not playing. There you go. That's what I was looking for. Okay. To play this real fast. Yeah, man, I got a hot one for y'all, man. This will be the first of many I don't know what you call them, just basically like freestyle type lives that I put together where I just share my thoughts, but add pictures to them and possibly music. I don't want to get no copyright strikes, but my channel not monetized anyway, so I don't think it really matter. But yeah, man, I wanted to give y'all, a lot of y'all on here online in general are younger, so a lot of y'all might not have been alive when Pac was alive and Biggie was alive. If y'all was, I need to hear y'all getting them comments. Like, yeah, let's get a debate going, man, because I've always thought this. What I'm about to share with y'all tonight is something that I've always thought. So this going on 30 years I've been thinking this. And we didn't have no YouTube. We didn't have no way of sharing our thoughts like we do now. So finally, we got the forum to share our mind, you know what I'm saying, like our thoughts on certain topics. And yeah, hold on, let me play this music. I want my little background music, my ambiance. Let me set the ambiance. Yeah, so I personally believe that had Tupac stayed alive, I believe that Pac would have not only remained on top, I believe he would have ushered in a lot of other talent. Not to say like the talent he was already ushering in wasn't dope, but I believe he was about to tap into a whole different, like, if you think of all the different artists that came after Tupac and Biggie died, I think between both of them, they would have pretty much been responsible for any of the other talent that came behind them. They had that much influence. I'm talking about Pac, man. Like, you had to been there to understand it, man. Like, what Pac meant to us in our culture at that time. He could have literally ran for president. He had that much popularity, that powerful. He was like loved by us. He was and his trajectory where he was about to go, it was like sky was the limit, man. Acting, the rapping, he had it all. So it's like anything Pac touched, it was gonna go. Pac had a lot of influence. If he co-signed something, it was real. You know what I'm saying? So between Pac and Biggie, I believe both of them, on the East and on the West Coast, they had it on lock as far as influence go, as far as being influential. Between both of them, I believe any of the other talent that might have emerged that wasn't already out and popping was gonna have to come through them. So I'm gonna give y'all my analogy, man, on the artists. Some of the artists I don't think would have emerged when they did. or if they would have emerged at all. This is the top one because soon after Tupac and Biggie died, this artist and his whole label took over for a short amount of time. It's still relevant, not to take nothing away, because Master P, I believe, would not have emerged the way he did when he did. Now, if he would have, I ain't taking nothing away from Master P, because I believe his business acumen, like what he know business wise, would have benefited, especially if Tupac back then. He already, known for the Snoop out in his time of need when Snoop was with Death Row. So that same company Pac was with, you know what I'm saying, Snoop had to get away from Death Row. You know what I mean? So I don't think Pac's career would have went nowhere near like Snoop. So I think had Pac stayed alive, I believe he would have left Death Row on his own terms. Still been like partners with Suge. Still been like homeboys. They would have kind of been like seeing eye to eye, saluting each other. I believe Pac had that much, respect from shit. That's what I personally believe. I believe Pac was about to leave, start his own thing, and get it pop. He already had the mindset to do it, the thug life and the outlaw. And just creating them groups. I think that was him getting his feet wet in how to executive produce. You know what I'm saying? You really got to learn this stuff. You don't, everybody don't, jump out there and be a good executive producer, be a good boss. You know what I'm saying? You really got to gain the respect of your comrades, gain the respect of the industry, and really know what you're supposed to know in order to be a good boss in this industry. So I think Pac was about ready, to jump out there on his own. He had learned enough from everybody. He had the contact. Interscope, apparently he was with Interscope before he even got with Def Row. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, so not taking nothing away from Master P, man, because like I said, he was very smart and he understood the time. But I don't believe he would have got that 85. If he did have it before Pac died, that would have been dope. Like, I don't know. I probably need to do a little bit more research on when he did get the 85 split between, with Priority. It might have happened when Pac was still alive. Priority was in need of some talent at that time. So, they would have gave pretty much anybody in. He had a roster ready to go. You know what I'm saying? And he apparently made good on that 85 deal. So yeah, Master P and All or No Limit, I don't think they would have emerged exactly like they did. Like with the business, most likely would have been, the 85-15 split that they had would have probably still been in effect. But how popular they were, I just don't think they would have came how they came at that time. It might have been it would have been some more time. Pac and Biggie, they had everybody's attention. All right, another one that I don't think would have emerged at that time. I don't think DMX would have emerged during that time. I don't think DMX would have emerged like he did when he did, especially with that image. That was Pac's image right there. You know what I'm saying? That was Pac's image. If you start, you know what I'm saying, you see Pac's image, that's Pac's whole image. They would have been at odds. Pac would have been dissing him. And Pac diss was bigger. Like, not to say like, because DMX is a dog, like for real, I just don't think the music industry would have taken, I don't think he would have got signed with that image. Because Pac was just that. You know what I'm saying? So I think part of the reason why he got signed was because of Tupac. But he didn't sound nothing like Pac. Like everybody know, like DMX a legend. Rest in heaven to DMX, man. Like he him. And I know he was coming, regardless. You know what I'm saying? He's a little older than Pac. So that ain't to say like he wasn't talented. DMX was dope. But y'all gotta remember that time. If you wasn't there at that time, then you wouldn't understand exactly how this worked. You know what I'm saying? Okay. Cash Money. I don't think they would have emerged how they did. You know what I'm saying? I don't think they would have emerged when they did and how they did if they would have emerged at all. They would have most definitely been regional. You know, it was a whole lot of regional success in hip hop back then. A whole lot of rappers that made a lot of money, but wasn't known. They was already popping. You know what I'm saying? The world just didn't know about it. They was already popping. So they would have kept being successful regionally. I just don't think that at that time, I think that No Limits success helped them, actually, even though they was actually more popular in their region than No Limit, from what I'm hearing. I just don't think that they would have got that kind of notoriety at that time had it not been for Pac and Biggie's demise. I don't think so. I personally don't think so. This is an artist, he was going to be on regardless. Nas was going to be on regardless. Nas was already him before Pac and Biggie died. Actually, it was Pac, Biggie, and Nas. Them three. It was the big three. Nas had the most respect from the hip hop community in general. Overall, I know he would have kept on doing what he was doing. He would have kept on smashing the gas. He would have kept on, you know what I'm saying, like killing it. Outkast. Outkast, what's unique about Outkast is they was already doing what they was doing when Pac and Biggie died, when they both died. They was blazing the trail for the whole South. The South would have emerged regardless. Just I don't think at that time, during that time that they did emerge, Outkast was gonna keep doing what they was gonna do. So that's one group that would have kept going. I honestly, because we needed Outkast. When they came, it was a breath of fresh air. You know what I'm saying? Something new. They had a totally different sound. They was repping Atlanta. Atlanta was where the place where everybody was going, no matter what city. Everybody was moving to Atlanta during the 90s. So, you know, we was gonna fuck with the face, basically. Anything coming out of the face, they had a sound team, you know, Babyface and LA Reid, they had sound CEOs that understood. They had the culture down there in Atlanta. Atlanta was gonna do what Atlanta was gonna do. I just don't think it would have been a whole Atlanta, how they came, you know what I'm saying, how they ended up coming. I don't think all of Atlanta would have came how they came at Tupac and Biggie stayed alive. They would have came, but I think they would have came under Tupac or Biggie. I think that's how they would have came. They wouldn't have came how they ended up coming. I don't believe it's because they was just popular, man. Tupac, Eminem. Shout out to M. M would have came. M would have came. He would have emerged. I think exactly how he emerged. Only because Dre was looking for that. And from my research, M was already on the circuit. He was already moving around. He just probably hadn't touched Pac or Biggie yet, but he was moving around. He was in certain circles. He was doing what he was doing. And I think Dre finding him or them finding each other, however that went, it was gonna happen regardless. I don't think nothing was gonna keep him from being where M is at. And him and Dre, they was gonna meet anyway. You know, Pac and Biggie, like Pac left Death Row, or Dre left Death Row before Pac, you know what I'm saying, died. So Dre was already gone. He was gonna be gone anyway. So he was gonna eventually find Eminem regardless. I think M would have came. He would have came but I think he would have probably most likely had some beef with Pac. and that probably would have made him more legendary than he already is, because you know he don't back down. You know what I'm saying? So all right, E40. E40 would have emerged. He would have emerged. He had already emerged. And if y'all don't know, E40 is part of the reason um, why Master P learned a lot of what he learned. Because Master P was in the Bay Area. He learned a lot about the music business being in the Bay Area. He was in Richmond. And he learned a lot from the Bay Area rappers that was independent. So E40 was already legendary when Pac died. He was already as actually one of Pac's big homies. So a lot of the game that Pac got from E40, Richie Rich. You know, them was like Pac's big brothers, you know what I'm saying, in life. You know what I'm saying? More than the music. You know, they kind of took him under their wing, you know, just on some regular, you know what I'm saying, homeboy stuff. So Jay-Z, I was kind of saving this for towards the end. Jay, I don't think would have emerged at all. As crazy as that might sound. Well, let me say this. He was so tight with Biggie. I believe he would have been under Biggie. Would have been like so tightly aligned with Biggie, and Biggie would have shared this platform with him. I just don't think Jay would have came, like when he came with that In My Lifetime, that was in '97. I don't think that would have hit like it ended up hitting. You know what I'm saying? I don't think that would have hit. Then the Hard Knock Life, that hit real big in '98. I don't think, you know, neither one of them would have hit that Pac and Biggie stayed alive. I believe Jay-Z would have stayed in his pocket. He was already out doing his thing. Like Reasonable Doubt came out in '96. Pac had officially dissed Jay-Z in the same year. That put a damper on his career. Pac was that influential. I believe that Pac stayed alive. He would have stayed on Jay-Z, because Jay-Z, if y'all don't know, he was known for a song called Hawaiian Soap with his big homie Jab. That was like a cheesy song. Most of the ones that really love this hip hop, we looked at that and we damn near laughed. You know what I'm saying? But at that time, you know, that song came out in the '80s. So like it wasn't the worst. It was a lot of different flavors coming out at that time. So you still listen to it, but either way, he was associated with that before he came out with Reasonable Doubt. And in between, he had some tongue twister type sounds that he came out with a original flavor. So a lot of us that kind of remembered all them phases from Jay-Z, like, man, what are you on? But listening to that Reasonable Doubt for the first time, I loved it. But honestly, I wouldn't even want to share with too many people at that time how much I loved it. You know what I'm saying? Because Pac had that much influence. You know, I secretly listened to Jay-Z back then. Like, I wasn't letting everybody know that I liked this dude. You know what I'm saying? I loved everything about it. I loved everything. Cover art, you know what I'm saying? The rap, production, the videos. Like, he came out. They actually came out right. You know what I'm saying? But like I said, Pac was so influential. You know, Pac was like, he was like viral before viral. Like, he was like a tweet, you know, a viral tweet. Like, when he say something, everybody like, oh, Pac said that. Like, it was like gospel. You know what I'm saying? Like, when Pac said something, it was like law almost. to a certain age group, and I was in that age group. You know what I'm saying? I was young, teenager. You know what I'm saying? I was very influential. So I mean, I was very, I could be influenced easily. You know what I mean? So, and Biggie, you know what I'm saying? Like Biggie, both of them, they was juggernauts. You know what I'm saying? I love Biggie. So it's like I was really mad when they started. I'm like, these are my two favorite artists. Like I was doing both at the same time, and I just didn't want to believe it. Decent. You know what I'm saying? That hurt my spirit. But yeah, I believe all of Queensbridge, Nas, and Mobb Deep, I believe they would have emerged regardless. I believe Jay, like I said, I believe Jay would have came, but I don't believe he would have came like he came. I believe Jay would have been under Biggie, and Biggie would have had to share his platform with Jay. It's another special group that I love. Ball and G, they was already legendary. They wasn't nothing gonna change Ball and G being what Ball and G was. It was just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger. Ball and G, they was already tapped in, but I don't think they ever did nothing with Pac or Biggie, but they was tapped in, you know what I'm saying? So I believe they was gonna do what they was gonna do regardless. I truly believe Ball and G coming from the South, they was gonna do what they was gonna do regardless. Yeah, Ball and G, man, they Memphis legends. They was gonna blow regardless, man. And they was already doing that thing. They was already what, 2 albums in, I believe. Yeah, I believe they was 2 albums in. On the outside looking in was already out. Yeah, we was fucking with Ball and G good stuff. Suave House was gonna do what Suave House was gonna do regardless. I truly believe that, and I'm saying, I'm gonna add this. It was enough room back then for everybody to come out exactly how they came out. This ain't me taking nothing away from nobody. But I'm just letting y'all know, if y'all wasn't there, you got to be there to understand what I'm trying to say. Tupac's voice was so big, he was talking so much, and it was so big that he actually, I believe he was like what 50 be doing. 50 ain't have nothing on the kind of power that Pac had. Like Zeke, nothing. And I remember when 50 came out. I guess New York kind of like shook, especially after he got shot all them times and, still survived. So a lot. But Pac was the first one to get shot all them times, you know what I'm saying? And still survive, you know what I mean? So yeah, Ball and G. Now, this is something special right here. This deep right here. I'm about to show y'all this. Wu-Tang. Woo! Wow. I have to say this, don't, you know what I'm saying? Please, I have to say this. I have to add, you know what I'm saying, what everybody should already know. But Wu-Tang, they was already legends before Pac died. And if y'all didn't know, Pac was working on I think it was called One World or something where he wanted to bring everybody into like one project. And he had a lot of Wu-Tang on it. He had, if y'all, I'm sure y'all heard All Eyes on Me. Meth was on there. Wu-Tang was gonna do what Wu-Tang was gonna do. What they was doing was so revolutionary because they had the one group on one label, but all the individual artists have branched out and did different label. That was unheard of at that time. So they were so revolutionary, not just with with the group itself, but with the music business. And they sound was just, you just couldn't resist that. Like they was already legendary. Wu-Tang was gonna do what Wu-Tang was gonna do, regardless. You know what I'm saying? They was already doing it, you know what I mean? But nothing and nobody gonna keep them from where they was already at. You know what I'm saying? They was gonna continue to do. Ray, you know, the Purple Tape, that came out in 95. That was instant classic. You understand me? Oh my Lord. Meth, you know what I'm saying? Cal came out in 94. Woo! Instant classic. You know what I mean? What else came out? Iron Man. Iron Man came out in 96. I think Iron Man came out in 96. So like they had like 4 like classics that came out back to back to back to back. You know what I'm saying? Then you had the Genius came out. Man. Woo. I'm talking about all the Wu-Tang shit was pumping back then. They was already, you know what I'm saying, like a factory at that time. They wasn't even, you couldn't even include them in that. And I'm gonna say this: nobody was really in that beef but Pac and Biggie, but it was so many peripherals that was attached to the East and West Coast that people just automatically, by association, they was like attached to the beef. You know what I'm saying? Without even wanting to be. You know what I mean? So yeah, let me add this. Damn, I gotta take this off. Give a big shout out to my big homie, MC Bree. Rest in heaven, MC Bree, man. He was a homie from my town, Flint, Michigan. I truly believe had Pac stayed alive, because see, these guys, what's unique about these guys' birthdays 4 days apart. Bree was 4 days older than Pac. So Pac and Bree passed what, 12 years after 12, 13 years later after Pac did. But in them 13 years, or if Bree, I think if Pac would have stayed alive, I think Bree might have stayed alive. You know why? Because I believe he would have been around some different energy. He would have stayed more relevant in the music business. He would have had more hit records. I just believe he would have been more healthy overall, man. They was that tight. You know what I mean? They made none but classics. And Breed, if y'all don't know, Breed is part of the reason that Atlanta became Atlanta in the early days of Atlanta. His studio, Breed was he was the first artist to emerge out the Midwest. The first, from Flint, Michigan. The first artist to hit big national, right? And he immediately moved to Atlanta. And what Breed brought to Atlanta, he brought that, you know, that culture from up here in Flint, that open arms, you know, everybody welcome. So a lot of talent came through and connected through Breed. Breed brought his good-natured Flint hometown spirit to Atlanta, and everybody gravitated towards it. So I personally believe had Pac stayed alive, Breed might have stayed more relevant for a longer time, because Pac was like a stimulus. He was like what Drake is to the music business now. That was Pac back then. He was like, he just had that golden touch, man. Like, if you can get a feature, you know, it can change your life. You know what I'm saying? This group was already relevant and was going to stay relevant. And actually, I think had Pac and Biggie stayed alive, Bone Thugs and Harmony could have possibly pulled off them squashing their beef. I personally believe by them being the only group that had both Pac and Biggie on two separate big records. You know what I'm saying? And they was on Notorious Thugs, and that was on Biggie's album. And then they was on damn, what was the name of that song? Was it Thug Love? Damn, what's the name? On a plane, not the even let's even no longer breathing now. We breathe. It's a cold ass world, nigga. Kill you in sleep. Watch me. Burn me and drop. Thug Love for my nationwide posse. Yeah, man. I think it's called Thug Love. Damn. Yeah, either way, the Pac and Bone Thugs song, that was on, I believe that was on Bone Thugs project. Yeah, that was on their project. I think it came out of 95. Yeah, so Bone Thugs was legendary. It was gonna stay legendary. The homies from the Midwest, Cleveland. Shout out to them, man. Man, they other than Pac and Biggie, they was probably the biggest thing in the 90s at that exact moment. Like they had the Crossroads record going crazy. Man, woo. I'm talking about, boy, that was a big deal. And you know what? Rest to heaven to Easy E, man. You know, like he died earlier in 95. And then they carried the torch for that label, man. And the whole Ruthless Records, they was like the brightest shining star that came out of that label during that time. And it was just so amazing to see them like chart topping and doing all the stuff they was doing, man. It was just the dopest thing in the world. This artist and his group was going to continue doing what they was doing. Ghetto Boys was legendary. They was I think their first album came out in the 80s, in 89 or something like that. 88. We was listening to them. They was already solidified. All of Rap A Lot. Like Rap A Lot was gonna continue to do what they was gonna do. They was continue. They would have. They was gonna keep everything with Jay Prince. You know, being one of the, you know, saying one of the minds of music of hip hop back then. You know, everything. You know, Russell Simmons, and you know, he was like the Russell Simmons of the South. You know what I'm saying? The Houston anyway. You know, Rap A Lot was gonna continue to do what Rap A Lot was already doing. It was already legend. By the time 96 came, Scarface was a legend on his own right. So, you know, I don't think that I think that had Pac stayed alive though, that would have opened up the opportunity for maybe a Scarface and Pac project. So I think it would have just been more of what they was already doing, you know, with like the Smile record. A whole bunch more of it, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, so Scarface, man, the homie Scarface, man. This group would have been way bigger than what they were at Pac and Biggie stayed alive. UGK. I believe they, you know, they would have collaborated many times with Pac and Biggie, you know, as they did with Jay-Z with the Big Pimpin', you know what I'm saying? They was holding it down, you know, way before Pac and Biggie died. I believe they would have had a even bigger career had both of them stayed alive. I really truly believe they would have at that time. You know, not to say like their careers wasn't already dope. I just believe that it would have been better and bigger. You know what I'm saying? It would have just been more too. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, UGK, Pimp C with the production, man, everything he was doing, just so, you know, just man, just his mind, man, blew me away. Blew me away. Let me see, do I got any more? Oh yeah. I don't think he would have emerged at all, man. With that bandana, like the same thing I said about DMX. Um, Ja Rule could have emerged, seeing as though he emerged through Jay-Z. I just don't think that. DMX kind of emerged through Jay-Z too. Both of them, their biggest hit up to that date was with Jay, but they was already starting to buzz. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of that Murder Inc. Came from from Irv. And Irv was definitely mind behind a lot of stuff. So I think he would have emerged. I just don't think he would emerge at that time. And then how he emerged, kind of like with a spotlight from Jay. I just don't think that light would have came from Jay. I think it would have most likely came from Biggie. Had he even emerged, you know what I'm saying? At all. I mean, I don't know. I don't know, man. A lot of the talent that both Biggie and Pac had, I don't think they was the best talent. So I believe a lot of, like Ja Rule, apparently very talented artist. I just don't think that he would have emerged exactly how he emerged at that time. You know what I'm saying? Especially with the image that he got. You know what I'm saying? With that bandana. I don't think that bandana would have no, him or DMX. They could not have had them bandanas on. And honestly, I don't even think like DMX acting, his career in acting, I personally believe that Pac would have had all them roles. I personally believe that. This ain't no knock to DMX. Now I love DMX. Love him. Especially in Belly. You know what I'm saying? I know Pac, I know Biggie would have DMX would have had that role in Belly though, for sure. Because it just like it was made for him, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, Ja Rule, man. I love Ja. I love them songs with him and Ashanti. I think had he kept doing what he was doing, he couldn't have knocked him out. You know what I'm saying? Knocked him off his throne. Like he kind of just threw him off. I believe Ja Rule, had he just kept doing what he was known to do, he couldn't have got knocked off. I swear. Dre and Snoop was gonna keep doing what Dre and Snoop was gonna keep doing, man. Like it was already solidified, real big dogs in the game. I don't think nothing would have changed that. So yeah, they would have kept doing what they was doing, man. They was already legends by the time Pac and Biggie died. I don't think none of that, what was going on, would have even affected them one bit. So, yeah, they could have kept beefing, and Dr. Dre and Snoop would have kept on making hits. So I don't think that would have affected them at all. But I don't know. I think Snoop's career, you know what I'm saying, had him and Pac got into it before Pac passed. I think Snoop's career would have been a lot different. Had Pac stayed alive and stayed on death row, and they patched everything up, kept that working together, and possibly made an album together. And I don't know, man. I don't know. I think that would have been a big deal for Snoop. You know what I'm saying? Had Pac stayed alive and stayed on death row. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just man, just sharing my thoughts on this topic, man. It's been something that I've been wanting to share for a long time. Like I said earlier, man, it's something that had we had social media in my day, we would have been talking about this. Would have been definitely at least touching a little bit on it. You know what I'm saying? Without going too far, because this all kind of new to even speak on shit. You know what I'm saying? Like our generation was quiet about a lot of shit. We just now starting to realize, oh damn, we can talk and record ourselves and shit. And it's like, it's really not what our generation about. But it's good for me. It's kind of like therapy, man. Just getting my thoughts out, you know, maybe for my future generations to kind of know how I felt about a certain topic. You know what I'm saying? But that's how I kind of technology. So yeah, look, I'm out. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that. I'm out. Be back. One.
Energy made this one.
Yeah. Yeah. Peace and life.
That's right.
From the very beginning, the first sound is the beat of the heart. The sound of life is only right. Let the beat is the start. We embark on a life of making memories and sounds. In our mind, when we find we can make it.